Hi all, this is Simona Rich, and in this video I would like to share with you my way of learning some very complicated subject quite fast. Many people were surprised at the rate at which I was able to learn astrology, and that being said, it's important to understand that astrology is a lifelong learning subject. It involves so much information that probably nobody is able to really fully master it. It's a very complicated subject because you have to look at the details as well as at the whole picture all the time, and you have to make sense out of many separate details to understand the whole life story of a person. It's a very complicated subject, but of course people do learn it, and it's definitely possible to learn, and so I will explain in this video my method of learning complicated things. So firstly, it's important to have hope that you can learn it, and you can have hope in just seeing that if other people master the subject, then it means that you can also master. If any other human being, even one in the world, could master some subject, then it means you're also capable of mastering. So one of the most important things is that you have to have hope. If you don't have hope of learning, you will not learn, because you won't have energy, you won't have inspiration to take action to learn that subject. Another thing that is important in learning complicated subjects is to take it easy and understand that you won't be able to learn all of it in a very short amount of time. So you have to really keep that in mind so that you don't get discouraged. And take it, and you have to learn it regularly. So you have to get into the habit of ideally reading about the subject or engaging some way with the subject every single day. And you will notice that if you do it regularly, day by day you become more and more knowledgeable about the subject, and your confidence in mastering it keeps increasing. So this gives you a lot of motivation to continue. And even if the subject is so complicated that it's full of unknown words and you're really lost at where to even start, just start from anything. Every day, find out a few things that were not known about the subject, a few phrases that were not known, and keep reading about the subject even though you don't understand it. That's the key, because every day you might just find out a few things about a subject, but then that knowledge will keep increasing with each passing day, and you will find easier and easier to understand what you are reading. So for example, when I started the study of astrology, I had no idea what I'm reading about because there were so many unknown terms for me. But that didn't discourage me, because I knew that every day if I would learn a little bit about it, then later on this will all add up, and then finally I will be able to understand what I'm reading. So this is what happened. And if you are consistent, if you're regular in this way of mastering the subject, in this way of learning about the subject, your confidence continues increasing, and then one day you will find yourself reading about the subject and you understand everything, and then you will understand that it wasn't as difficult as you thought. So the most important thing is faith that you can learn the subject, and again, this faith is gained if you know that other people were able to master the subject, and then regularly spending time in doing something to do with that subject, like reading a page or two about the subject and finding out some of the unknown terms, or engaging in that, whatever it is in that subject in some way. But it has to be daily. It has to be a regular practice. So if you take it like this by bits every day, rather than just seeing it as a whole and being discouraged because the subject looks too big, then you will be able to eventually master it little bit at a time, learn little bit at a time, and do it regularly. And day by day you will see that your knowledge or understanding about the subject increases, and then later you will find yourself the master of the subject. And finally, it's also important to be really interested in the subject, because if you're not interested, then you won't have that energy, that motivation to study. So to sum up, what's required is faith that you can learn the subject, learning about it every day, even if it's a little bit every day, but this learning about the subject should be regular, and you should naturally love the subject. You should naturally be really interested in the subject, and these three things, they will allow you to master the subject eventually, and hopefully this will happen quickly. The more information you're able to learn about the subject each day. But again, don't overburden your mind. Even if you study every day about it, give some time for the mind to absorb the information. So the mind, the way that we acquire and are able to put this acquired information into action, it's a very similar way to how the digestion works. So we eat and then we allow the food to digest so that it's taken by the body tissues for the benefit of the body. We don't continuously eat, because if we do this, then we would overburden the digestion and we would cause disease rather than the health of the body. So the same should be done with learning, and I see many people not understanding this. They keep acquiring information, they keep consuming information, not allowing it to process in the mind. So this just overburdens the mind, causes mental stress, and they're unable to put the learned information into action because the mind is unable to process it. There's just too much information in the mind. So sometimes consuming less information and then pondering on it, allowing yourself to disconnect from it, doing something completely unrelated, getting entertained, for example, to disconnect from that subject for some time, and then next day coming back and learning a little bit more is the best way to learn, because then the mind is able to fully process the subject and you're able to put what you learned into action. So this is again something to keep in mind if you want to master some subject. So that's all the advice that I have for you. I hope that it was useful. Thank you for watching. Take care.